courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome to Veterans Issues. We are brought to you by the Red, White, and Blue. Today we're going to talk about some red, white, and blue. We're going to talk about Wounded Warriors of Alabama. And you stay right there and we'll get some information you want to hear. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here. And today we're talking with two fellows representing the Alabama Wounded Warriors program. One of them has been on here before. And you know him locally as a businessman. His name is Ross Winter. And the other guy is the CFO. He's Bill Williams. He runs the Wounded Warriors program. And so we welcome to the show, Bill. God, look at that. See how he did that? That's dangerous, and it exploded right in front of you.
There you go.
Well, welcome to the show, guy. Welcome back, Ross.
Thank you. Thank you,
Good to have you back. First, Ross, you a lot of people know you, but they don't know you. So let's give them a little background on some things. I want to tell them some things they don't know that's good for family television.
All right. All right.
So I don't want to know about where you were on the night of the 12th.
There you go.
But you was in the military.
Yes, sir. Did
Army.
20 years. 20 years Army.
And you was in what, Special Forces?
Well, I did.
You jumped out of planes, I know that.
9 years with 82nd Airborne, 3 years as a drill sergeant, and then 3 years with 5th Special Forces Group.
Undoubtedly, you used a parachute.
Once or twice.
You wouldn't be sitting here.
That's right. That's right.
I've had the guy that owns the Kia stores, Don Humpton. He was in the Special Forces, and I always like to tell that story how they made me eat dog food over in Vietnam, and I don't like Special Forces at all, none of them. So for some reason I thought she was in Special Forces, but a lot of people don't know that she served there. And then we're going to talk about something else here in a minute if I get a chance about your Israeli connection, and something I'm very, very impressed by. Bill, I know you're the CFO. That's what, the Chief Financial Officer? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
you put all the money in it.
I put all the money in, make sure that everything stays on the up and up, and really run the day-to-day business.
You got a history in the military?
I was in the Navy for a short time. My father's retired Vietnam veteran.
Can we forgive him for that?
Yes, the Navy. I know, but he's doing a really good job.
That does count. That does count.
It does count.
I tell you,
they got to give the Marines a ride.
The Alabama Wounded Warriors, not to be confused with the Wounded Warriors program, but tell me something about it, Bill. When you
well, the Wounded Warrior Alabama was pretty much founded by Ross and his wife, two veterans that are married, and what we do is I was born into a military family. My whole life I've been around the military, and we know how important it is, and how people come back, and sometimes things are just not right. So what we decided to do is help the soldiers and veterans in the state of Alabama. All the money that we collect and we spend stays in the state, stays local.
Yeah. You want to add anything into that, Ross, about that?
Well, one of the things that what we have to understand is most charities spend 30-40% in administrative costs, paying lights, rent, and phone. We're at less than 1% of our donations. We have one person that gets paid, and he works 40 hours a week for us, which is Bill Williams. He donates his time as a CFO, and we put 99 cents of every dollar back into the veteran.
That's unusual. I mean, I deal with, I've had telemarketers, I have people who are Vietnam veterans, and if we got $1,000 on $1 million, that was a good day. And the answer was, well, you got 1,000. At least you got 1,000. You didn't do nothing for it. They used our name, but still.
It's discouraging. Like, for example, me and my wife put up $10,000 to start it with, but like the shirt that Bill's wearing, he paid for that out of his own pocket. Mm-hmm. We don't get reimbursed for gas. We don't get reimbursed for travel, and because there's so many veterans here that need little things. Day-to-day things.
You're talking about filling in the gaps that the system don't take care of.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you something. We didn't discuss this, but I have had over the years a lot of veterans that come stranded here that are passing through. Even one that totaled out their vehicle, him and his wife, and there's no go-to out there for that. There's no way to help them. I had a young PFC that was on here on the interstate him and his wife totaled out their vehicle. They had no source of income. He had to be at Fort Bragg the next day, and no vehicle or nothing. And we took care of that, me and my Vietnam veteran. But it involved renting a U-Haul and gas and food and all that stuff. And there was no agency out there.
Yep.
I called the Army Emergency Relief. Yep, did not have money. And I got him extended for 3 days. I called his commander for him, and then told him
that was a big help for him.
Yeah,
that was really a big help.
But we took him down here to the Lone Star, fed him a steak dinner, and put him up in the honeymoon suite here at the Hilton, and then sent them on their way. And he had to go to Afghanistan 5 days later. So it was. But there's no agency there. You're talking about filling the gaps. I mean, there's just so many.
We had, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we had a situation that a veteran was driving his vehicle and his tires they were bald. Mm-hmm. And I pulled him over and I said, "Young man," he said, "Yes." He said, "I just don't have the money." So we went and we bought him tires. Well, while they were taking his tires off, I said, "Look at those brakes for me too." And they took the hub off and a piece of his brake fell on the floor. So I said, "How you been stopping this car?" He said, "Well, I've been using my emergency brake." Mm-hmm. So Bill and I said, "Okay, what's tires and brakes?" It's $1,400. We had $1,400 in our account, and we spent all $1,400 on that young man.
That's amazing. Yeah, but people out there that's watching the show don't realize that there is not an organization that I can pick up and dial 1-800-HELP-A-VETERAN. They just no such thing. Right. They can dial if you're suicidal. I can give you a number, and if you want to get to the clinic or the VA, I can give you a number, but I can't tell you if you need some help. Now, what about, is it something like they had their power cut off or something? Does that fall into the category?
Yes, absolutely. A perfect example is we met this lady, and she was a veteran and she had a job, but she was living out of her car, mm-hmm. which kind of confused us. And the reason she was living out of her car was she didn't have the $1,000 power down payment. She didn't have the $500 water down payment. She could afford the $400 a month, $500 a month rent. She couldn't afford to get the stuff turned on. So Ross and I, gave $2,000 to her to get everything going so she could have somewhere to live.
And that's not how old a lady was she?
50s.
51, 52 years old.
People don't realize
little stuff.
How people become homeless.
Yeah.
We had a lady here that in her 30s, single mother, young boy, decided to enhance her career, go to college, came back out and couldn't get a job. She became homeless. She had no family. And long story short is me and my Vietnam veterans stepped up to the plate, and we took a bunch of food to her. I got her into the housing up in Etowah County in public housing. And we was able to give her some money and get her on her way, but there was nothing there to help this lady. She's, you can imagine a 30-plus-year-old woman out here on the street with a young boy. That's where she was, and she didn't even have the money to go to the Salvation Army.
And no help.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the tragedy is so many organizations take 60 cents, 70 cents, 80 cents of every dollar they collect, and they use it for administrative costs. And so the person's only getting 20 cents on the dollar, 15 cents on the dollar. And we decided, Bill and I and my wife decided that we're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're just not going to do that.
Well, there's just, people out there that every week and in the last part of the show, I'll be asking for help for people with wheelchairs and stuff. They just don't realize what's out there and the need. And we got to go to a break and pay some bills. We'll come back. We're going to talk more about Alabama Wounded Warriors and what you can do to help. We got some events coming up. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. I'm still Ken Rollins, and we're still talking with Bill Williams and Ross Winter, and we're talking about Alabama Wounded Warriors. I got something, if I can get the control room to pull up, I got some events coming up with the Alabama Wounded Warriors that they're involved in, and I'd like you to pay attention to that. It's about the golf tournament out at Silver Lakes Golf Course. That's out there off 431. It's on August the 12th, and it tells you about the 50-50 rifle, longest drive, the cost, early bird registration, $85 a person, $100 a person. This is it's sponsored by a lot of people, and this this is one way you can help. Let's see, you got another. We got a. This is a placard, if you will, and this tells about how do you give to the Wounded Warrior Alabama. The WoundedWarriorAlabama.com is the website. Wounded Warrior Alabama, all one word. WoundedWarriorAlabama.com is a way you can get in touch with them, and I hope that the people out there is watching would do that. Letting me know that you're paying attention. I see a lot of you out and about, and you tell me you watch the show. And my last week's guest was a World War II veteran. I heard a lot of people saying, "I watched that fella," and so I hope the same people watching this and will come forward. Do y'all need some volunteers for the roadblocks and the things that you're doing to raise funds? And
Bill,
oh, absolutely. I mean, within the next month, we have the Main Street Music Festival, which is a two-day event in Albertville, concert-free, family-friendly. We're going to be setting up a booth there, a nice custom-made tent.
Bret Michaels is going to be there.
Bret Michaels,
John Anderson, just a swing.
Riley Green.
Who?
Riley Green, the local hero around here. Okay. So it's going to be they're going to have a kids zone. So it's very family friendly. That's August 4th and 5th, Friday and Saturday.
Around the corner. Mm-hmm. And if they need information now, here's where I need you to get to. I show you this pen every week so you'll know what to do with it. You hit this phone, they give you this phone number. Get ready. You got your pens out there? All right, the fellow in the recliner there, you need to get it. There it is. All right, it's 256-458-2715. 256-458-2715. That's the number to call. Any of this we're talking about today, you need to get that information if you miss it here when we're talking about it. So August the 4th and 5th.
4th and 5th for that event. And then, of course, the next event after that, Insight Magazine, a lot of thanks to them, is putting on the first annual Wounded Warrior Alabama golf tournament.
The Insight Magazine doing it?
Yes.
Yeah, all on their own. They approached us with this idea, and I got to give Kevin and Ted some
big props.
Big props, because they laid it out, approached us with it, and I mean, just tremendous idea. I mean, I as a business owner use Insight Magazine because I get my dollar's worth from them. And when they came up and approached us with this, and they are our chief sponsors, but then King ERA Realty, Cooper Chevrolet, Love Stuff, Barn Builders out of Heflin, Alabama, stepped up, and then we have a bunch of other people that have really tried to support this event because, again, we need veterans, and veterans need us.
Yeah.
And it's about money.
Well, that's what, see, people, when you were saying, well, we don't want to leave this lightly, because the Wounded Warrior Foundation had some bad light about the big junkets that they were going on, all this kind of thing. We don't want them to get this mixed up. When you're talking about you use 1% for administrative costs, and the other 99 goes to the Wounded Warriors. And Wounded Warrior, what's the definition of that with you?
Well, Bill and I came up with, it's just not necessarily a wounded warrior, but it's their spouse. Mm-hmm. It's their kids. It's a collective being of people that support our military. And so you don't really have to be like a wounded warrior, but because there's a lot of ways to be wounded.
Oh yeah, well I've got a thing on the back of my shirt you could appreciate at home. It says, "All wounds are not visible." And
Correct.
It's got a guy in a brush hat with his head down. And so a lot of the wounds you can't see. And so I like that, what you're doing with the family, because a lot of the families serve too. They serve in a different way. If anybody's ever been in the military.
We had a wife, she had 3 kids, and her husband was in Afghanistan, and she kept getting her washer and dryer repossessed because she just didn't have that money. And when they repossessed it, they'd add more to it. So we went down on a 4th of July weekend 2 years ago, and we bought her a washer and dryer and a 5-year plan. And so she's got it. And now we said, she offered to pay us back, and so she sends us $20 a month. And we're very happy to get the $20, and we're happy that she does not have to worry about a washer and dryer, because she was a mother, not a single mother, but she had 3 kids and her husband was abroad.
I have people periodically that say, they'll call me up and say, me and my husband getting ready to make our contributions for this year. What is a good organization? You know, they don't want to get ripped off. People are, so I got this in the mail from the American Veterans of so-and-so. I said, be careful, folks. Just be careful. If you don't know them, and I don't know them, and I've been in this business for a lot of years, and you name a veterans organization to me, and I can't tell you anything about them, you got to be skeptical. Yeah, and so what you're talking about here, let me ask you this. Somebody donates to your organization. You're a 501c3 or
501c3. We give you a certificate for your donation.
Gotcha.
If you have sweat labor, you volunteer for sweat labor, we give you a certificate.
In kind thing.
Exactly right. And for that, if you have an old car that you want to donate, we'll give you the certificate for you, and we'll sell the car. You know, we do a lot of things to raise money.
Well, we'll run out of time before I get to do this if I don't do it now. So I want to go back to what I said I was going to talk about. You volunteer and you pay your own fee to go over to Israel once a year.
Correct.
Is it once or
once a year?
And some of the things, and I see you're in manual labor, buddy. I mean,
yes.
You're doing some hard work there. You got a lot of businesses, and I seen you doing a lot of work. The carpentry works there, and around your pool and everything. But that was some awesome work you're doing with the Israelis. Why you do that?
Well, I'm not Jewish. I am Christian, but the Israelis need help.
Yeah.
35% of their GDP goes to the military. Their soldiers don't get vacation like our soldiers. So we, VFI, Volunteers for Israel, go over to Israel, and we step up and say, I'm going to do your job for this week. That Israeli soldier, male or female, gets to go home and gets to take a break.
Yeah.
And we're just supplying manual labor.
I see you doing that. You're putting something on Facebook, you know, that you'd go to the wall and say a prayer. Somebody had a prayer they wanted to do, and you give it to you, and you go up there and say their prayer for them.
Yes, sir.
I thought that was awesome. I just somebody peeled an onion in my room when I saw that.
I did too. I thought that was pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did 110 prayers that day.
Yeah, but there's a lot of. It's expensive out of your pocket to pay to go over there. I know that. But to put that hard labor in there instead of talking the talk, that's walking the walk there, buddy.
Thank you.
And I want people to know that, you know, you just opened up your 7th business down in Tuscaloosa.
Yes, sir.
I don't mind saying you own Love Stuff. That's
yes, sir.
They're all in Alabama.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All 7 stores for 20 years.
20 years. But you just signed over one of your young ladies is going to get a car after 5 years if she stays there with you.
Yes,
a new
sir.
car.
We're going to do one when I leave this show. A manager in the Sardis store said I'm down for 5 years.
He wanted to do that explode. We run out of time. I'm going to talk more, but I'm going to get y'all back on here again to finish this up. We got to go. We got to go to a break. Come back. I got news that you can use. Get that pen. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. I appreciate Bill and Ross coming on here today and talking about the Wounded Warriors of Alabama. I want to give you this phone number. This is another reason to get that pen. This is the new VA hotline, 855-948-2311. 855-948-2311. If you're a spouse out there, write that number down. If you're the neighbor to a veteran, write that number down. If you find one in stress, distress, or needs help through the VA of any sort whatsoever, including suicide, you don't help them commit suicide. It's a line you call if you know someone might be suicidal. But that's not what the line is. The president just set this up for the veterans to call, have a number that you can get it, and it goes to the White House. I have called that number several times just to make sure it's still working. It's only been up about a month or so. So 855-948-2311 is a number you should have handy in case you know of a veteran in need or that you are a veteran in need. Now write that website down again, Wounded Warrior Alabama. One word, Wounded Warrior Alabama at gmail.com. Gmail.com. That's the website. And their phone number is 256-458-2715. Good information. And I hope that y'all pass the word about what we talked about here today. If you see the work up there in the Centennial Memorial Park, bulldozer, whatever, that we're building or getting ready to build the new firefighters memorial for the state of Alabama. That's the official firefighters memorial for the state. We already got the law enforcement memorial. This is the one for all the firefighters that died in the line of duty in the state of Alabama since 1900. If you got a wheelchair, you got a veteran, somebody that don't need a wheelchair now. I'm talking about a power chair, not talking about the manual. If you've got a power chair you no longer need, give me a call. I got veterans that need them. They don't qualify under Medicaid, Medicare, or even through the VA for a wheelchair, but they do need mobility to get to their mailbox, up and down the street, to gossip, those kind of things. That's what they use them for. And you call me, I'll get it. We'll get it to the veteran, and it'll be put to use. The veteran in need of transportation, if you got a young veteran that needs transportation, I got a lady that wants to present a automobile to that person. It's a young veteran because her son was a young a Marine that got killed in Afghanistan, and she wants to a young veteran to have that. So give me a call if you know somebody that fits that category. The law enforcement tag, when you get ready to go get your tag, your new tag for your car, think about the law enforcement tag, because the revenue from that tag is how we build these memorials up here and take care of the memorial in Anniston. And that tag, anyone can have it. You don't have to be in law enforcement, but it does. The symbol on there is a shield and a rose, which is symbolic of a fallen in line of duty officer, law enforcement officer. So driving with that tag on your car makes a statement about who's behind the wheel. So think about the law enforcement tag, and when you go, instead of getting a regular tag, just go ahead and get the law enforcement tag, and the revenue from that, a big portion of it goes to this memorial here in Anniston, and a small portion goes to Washington, D.C. Memorial. We still need veterans to drive the DAV van to Birmingham, take the veteran over, and to bring them back. If you're interested in doing that, give me a call. Get your Veterans Choice Card. Go to the clinic, get you a Veterans Choice Card, or call 205-933-8101 and tell me you want a choice card. This week's salute goes out to one of my heroes, and he's here today. And I don't give these salutes cheap. This is for Ross Winter for all you do, buddy. And we'll see you next week here on Veterans Issue. Salute.